Camera with you? Okay, all right. You had to come from the suburbs, so I got it. We got to get you guys to move. Yeah, it's a nice one, too. You tell me when you're ready, Simon. All right. We have a day of good news for the people of the city of Detroit. The assessment notices are going out today, and last year, property values in Detroit rose 19%. The value of the house in the city went up 19%, and the good news is, under the Michigan Constitution, your property taxes are only going to go up 3%. And it's another special year. There's been 9 years in a row. Last year, our values went up 23%. So we are in a remarkable situation in that home prices in Detroit have grown 42% in 2 years, largest we've ever seen in history. And with this year's growth, the total residential properties values are over the $10 billion level for the first time in more than 25 years. When I started here in 2014, it was less than $3 billion. So with the success that we're having, we have built an enormous amount of wealth for all those Detroiters who stayed. And everybody remember my first week of the job in 2014, I said, stay and give us a chance. We are building generational wealth, and I'm just so proud of it. And the interesting thing is that those property values increased in 99% of the neighborhoods in this city. So there's a relatively lazy story that says things are happening in downtown and midtown. When 99% of our neighborhoods have seen 40% increases in their home values in just 2 years, any place else in America, the narrative would be, this is amazing how well those communities are doing. And of course, people in the neighborhoods you're going to hear from know the difference. A few charts to show you. So the assessment notice is going out this week. You do not pay the assessment. You'll get a bill later on that'll be due this summer, but this gives you the opportunity to appeal if you think your assessment is incorrect. And as I said, 206 of the 208 neighborhoods saw their home values go up in 2024. And you are protected by the Michigan Constitution. And so this is the difference. I stood in this room with some of the members who are up here in 2014. We cut property tax assessments across the city in 2014 by 20% because they had been assessed too high under the Bing administration. And on this map, red is a reduction in property values, green is an increase. The brighter red, the deeper the values fell, and the darker the green, the more they increased. But it's certainly a story of what the mayor and the council working together for a decade produce. We are now no longer the city where 1,000 people a month are moving out. We are a city where it is a really good place to own a home. And you can see the map. On this map, the dark greens are 15 to 30% increases, which is most of the city. The blues are 30. The dark blues are more than 50. And anything that the yellow is 0 to 1%, which is downtown. And there's a couple of little orange spots, 2 of the neighborhoods in the city. But again, this gives you a sense of the narrative that has been put forward in this city that only a couple areas are benefiting. We are again seeing the dark green to 15 to 30% from the far east side to the far west side to the far southwest side. The block club leaders in this city, our 600 block club leaders, all the work that they have done is paying off in a tremendous way. And again, this is the overall residential value, but our records back to 2000. This is the first time we are at $10 billion of homeowner value in the city since the 1990s. This isn't coming back from COVID. This isn't coming back from the housing crisis of 2009, 2010. These are putting up historic numbers across our community. Here is an interesting chart, and again, there has been what is nothing short of a fictional claim that there is overassessment in this city today. It's just not true. And this will show you a really interesting thing. The blue line is the level at which you are taxed. The black line is your actual property values. And so what's been happening over the years is we're up 19% in values, 3% in taxes, up 23% in values, up 5% in taxes. The reality is today that in the city of Detroit, particularly for people who have been here for years, the value of your home dramatically exceeds the level you're being taxed at. Now, as Detroiters know, if you sell your house, the new buyer goes from there to there. If you sell it to a member of your family, it stays capped. You stay on that lower line. If you get Century 21 and you sell it on the market, that new buyer jumps to the high rate. But this is what a healthy city in Michigan should look like. Your value of your house should be exceeding the inflation increase in your taxes, and there are a few things I'm as proud of, is the fact that those who have stayed have seen an increase in wealth without a corresponding increase in their tax rate. So that is the news for the day. I'm pleased to be here 9 years in a row with home prices and family wealth being built in this city, and to talk about what this process means and how you can appeal your property tax assessment in the coming weeks is our assessor, Alvin Horn.
So good morning, everyone. I just want to talk a little bit about the appeals process. I think this is the clicker, or isn't it?
The green button works.
There it is. So this is the assessment notice that started going out over the weekend. Commercial, industrial hit the mail over the weekend. The first batch of residential assessment notices went out today. You will see that this is perhaps the most important piece of mail you'll get from the assessor's office. This tells you how we're going to tax your property over the course of the year. I just want to emphasize something. By the time you have your tax bill, it's too late to appeal the values. You have to appeal the values of your property if you disagree during the assessor's or March Board review. And this is the document that you need to have to determine if you want to challenge your values. So we've got a couple of lines highlighted here. The taxable value for most people is the most important line because that is the number that your taxes are based on. It is the taxable value times the millage rate. The assessed value is what we believe 1/2 of the market value of your property is. Under Michigan law, the assessment is 50% of the market value. If you've been in your home for a while, there'll be a significant difference between the assessed and taxable value. The assessments will go up or go down based on how market conditions are. Taxable value will go up to CPI or 5%, whichever is lower every year, as long as you own your home. In this example, the assessment went up $4,200 between 2024 and 2025. The taxable value only went up $451. That's a $30 increase between 2024 and 2025. That is a direct result of the cap under Michigan law. If this taxpayer chooses to challenge the assessed value of the property, the assessor's review starts February 1st. It runs for 3 weeks through February 22nd. Now, last year, City Council changed the ordinance, so you're not required to start at the assessor's review. But what I would point out is that the assessor's review is a creation of the City of Detroit. It's meant to be an informal process where you can come into our office, ask us demand, because as you're right, demand to know how we assessed your value, make us explain how we came up with those values, and this is your opportunity to change it. It is designed to be as informal as we can possibly make it. The March Board Review is a creature of the state of Michigan. It is a component of the administrative hearings process in the state. They are required to follow state law. You have to provide proof. You have to provide the evidence why you disagree during the March Board Review. Now, certainly we want everyone to take advantage of all their rights, but start at the assessor's review. It's far more informal. It's an opportunity for you to speak to the appraiser for that area. It's an opportunity for you to have someone come to your house and actually point out what you believe is wrong. As I said, it's 3 weeks long, from February 1st through February 22nd. The appeals may be filed online, in person, or by mail. If you want to speak to a member of our office, you can do it via teleconferencing, or you can schedule an appointment to speak to a person. The March Board Review this year is from March 5th through the 29th. Residential property owners, because of a change in ordinance the City Council made last year, they can appeal directly to the March Board Review. You have to appeal to the March Board Review if you want to proceed to the Michigan Tax Tribunal. That's the third tier of the appeals process in the state of Michigan. Council created a situation for the assessor's review where they increased the number of people who can file an appeal at the assessor's review. Because the March Board Review is governed by Michigan law, you have to be the homeowner or an agent of the homeowner to appeal at the March Board Review. Three-tier approach, it starts with the assessor's review, it goes to the March Board Review, and then finally the Michigan Tax Tribunal if you don't agree. Commercial, industrial, and personal property owners can proceed directly to the tribunal if they choose to. Tax Tribunal being the administrative court of the state of Michigan. If you choose to file an appeal with the Michigan Tax Tribunal, residential property owners must file by July 31st after they filed at the March Board Review. And I can't emphasize it enough. If you're a residential property owner, you must go to the March Board Review before you can go to the tribunal. Commercial, industrial, and personal property owners can choose to go straight to the tribunal. They have to go by May 31st. The Michigan Tax Tribunal is the final tier of the appeals process in the state of Michigan. Their judgment is final. You can file online. You can go to the DTS, the Detroit Taxpayer Service Center, on the first floor of this building. They are open Monday through Thursday, Friday and Saturday by appointments. Or you can send a letter or email to the assessor's office saying that you want to file an appeal. Just make it out to the office of the assessor's board review. Everything has to be in our office by February 22nd to open the appeal. And that's the end of this slideshow. So I'll turn it back to the mayor.
All right. So I would encourage anybody, if you get your assessment and you think it's too high, go to the assessor's informal review. They're making their decisions based on what they can see from the outside. There may be something about your property that they can't tell or they don't know, and they are instructed to listen to your information carefully, and we make adjustments. So it's essentially an extra free shot, and I would encourage you to do it. You don't get to go from $3 billion in residential housing to $10 billion in less than a decade without an extraordinary partnership. And City Council has been there every step of the way, from helping us sell the abandoned houses to building $1 billion in new affordable housing to doing thousands of home repairs that raise property values. It has been a cooperative effort from the beginning. And at this point, I want you to get a chance to hear from the council members, starting with Council President Mary Sheffield.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you, Mayor Duggan. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an exciting day. It is an exciting time for Detroit as we celebrate the progress that we've made in building wealth for our homeowners. In 2024, Detroit home values increased by an impressive average of 19%. resulting in $1.4 billion in new wealth for our residents, the second largest gain in our city's history. Nearly every neighborhood saw increases, reflecting the strength and the revitalization of our communities. This unprecedented growth of home values sends a strong signal that there is a bright future for those who choose to call Detroit home or operate a business within city limits. Last year, City Council took an important step by passing the property tax reform ordinance, which I was honored to sponsor and of course, pass ultimately. This ordinance ensures that homeowners have the tools and the resources that they need to navigate the property assessment process. By revamping, as we just saw, the property assessment notices to make them more accessible and informative for residents to understand how their property taxes are assessed. It also extended the appeals period to give residents more time to question and understand their property values. The ordinance also expands the type of person who may consider themselves harmed by an assessment and make a complaint before the city's board of review. I want to thank the administration, Mr. Horn, Willie Downwell, and everyone for really helping to implement the property tax reform ordinance. We kind of started off rough, but none to say the less, we have moved things forward. So starting this week, homeowners will receive their notices of the proposed assessment changes. These notices are not a tax bill, but do provide critical information about your property's value. I want to strongly encourage that all property owners review their assessments and, if necessary, take advantage of the extended appeals process, which runs through February the 22nd. As we continue to see growth and opportunity in Detroit, it is essential that we remain committed to equity and transparency. Together, we can ensure that every Detroiter benefits from the city's progress while also protecting the integrity of our neighborhoods. Thank you so much, and I will now turn it over to Council Member at Large, Member Young, and I think followed by Member Durhal.
No. I just wanted to say this is just such a great day in the city of Detroit. It's nice to have this after mourning the Lions' loss. I'm still kind of recovering, I'm sure, as everybody else is. But I just think the fact that we can honestly say that we've had about the majority of the city, 90% of the city, have their properties values improved is such a big turnaround from the time when people were literally losing their houses due to foreclosure. I remember during the bankruptcy process where you had people who were literally being thrown out of their homes. And so I think to have this turnaround, to have a time where people were losing their jobs, they're losing their houses, some people were losing their lives. For us to be able to, one, understand in the city of Detroit that homes are not just bricks and beams, they're hopes and dreams. Second of all, for us to be able to embrace the American dream of home ownership, and thirdly, for us to be able to improve values in the city of Detroit when we have seen values fall for generations, I think is really just an incredible stepping stone. And as the son of the Honorable Coleman Alexander Young Sr., to see this type of work throughout the generations, throughout the years, really coming to fruition is a tremendous honor and privilege. This is what it's about, passing that torch to the next generation, making it easier for the next generation to be able to succeed and to be able to see, as my father would say, doing it in the city of Detroit. So it is my honor to work with the mayor, the honor to work with my colleague, Member Durhal, as well as Council President Sheffield, and as well as Alvin Horn, hardest working man in show business, always good to work with you, sir. And so this is just a tremendous blessing for me to be here. I want to say thank you, everybody, and thank you for the mayor, and let's get this done together. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to start my comments off by saying thank you to the mayor, thank you to Mr. Horn, as well as the entire administration and council for having the foresight and the vision to continue to move this city forward. But most importantly, thank you to the residents, those who stuck and stayed throughout tough times in this city when folks asked who was going to be the last person to turn the lights out. And they are still here today. And today is an amazing day because what it is indicative of is is moving this city forward into our generations to come. When we talk about the importance of why our property values are going up and what that means to our residents, it means that they can create that generational wealth for their families that they can pass on. It means that when they stuck and stayed here in this city, now they're starting to see the parks being improved. They're starting to see public safety becoming better. They are starting to see their neighborhoods coming together because the abandonment of the blighted homes that sat vacant for 10 to 20 years are being torn down and in some cases rehab. So this is indicative of our city moving forward, how we value our neighborhoods, how we push our neighborhoods forward. And I am glad to have the ability to be a part of that, have that strong partnership with the administration and continue to move this city forward. In my district alone, in the Northwest community, 38% of our values have gone up. That is significant for an area that felt like they had no hope. And so today is the day that says that hope is being restored. We will continue to build this city. We will continue to build our neighborhoods and our communities and keep Detroit going. So thank you all. And again, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your vision on this.
So we'd like to introduce some residents from a couple of the neighborhoods just to give their perspective of everything they've seen happening in the city over the years. So I'd like to start with George Preston from the Mohican Region Community Association, and following that up with Grace and Francois Moore from College Park. So Mr. Preston, if you want to come up and perhaps say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. You know, I've been a resident of the city of Detroit for 60 years, so I'm probably the oldest person in here. But this was going back about 40 years now, the 1980s, when I was looking for a nice home in a nice neighborhood. Now, I found that home, I found that neighborhood, and I've worked hard over the course of the years to help create an environment in that neighborhood to maintain the beauty of that neighborhood. And I know exactly what I paid for that house back then, and I thought I had a pretty good price then, but I've seen the ups and the downs of the city, and I've seen some of the things that we've gone through over the course of the years. But when I looked at that assessment, saw my assessment, my most recent assessment, I was excited because I'm now looking at almost triple the value of my home. And no one wants to pay taxes, but I was concerned about the taxes. But when I saw how low the taxes was in relation to that increase, I was really excited about that. Now, when I purchased that home, I bought it to live in it. I didn't buy it to sell it. But it's good to know that if something was to happen, that when I look at the value of my home, I've stayed through the tough times, and I'm reaping the benefits of that reward now. So again, I'm excited as we go forward, because if I continue to stay in there at the progress that the city is making, who knows how much that property is going to continue to increase. Now, again, as I said, I'm the oldest person in here, but my goal is to outlive all of you. So I hope I don't have to move from that home. But if by chance I do have to move, it's good to know when I look at the assessment of my property, I can feel good about it and know that, again, I'm excited about the increase in what I'm turning over to my children and my grandchildren. So again, thank you to the administration for all of your efforts in terms of what you've done in terms of creating this environment. So thank you again. Thank you. That was great.
Great afternoon, everyone. We are Grace and Francois Moore. We are lifelong Detroiters, both born and raised here in the city of Detroit, graduates of both Detroit high schools, myself, Cooley High School, and
Detroit Central.
Detroit Central for my husband. But we, when we got married, we were renting in the Winship neighborhood for over 10 years when we decided during one of the downfalls of the city to take advantage of what prices were for homes at that time. And if you knew what we paid for our home then, we actually have had a 500% increase in value of what our home is worth now versus what we paid for it. So we are truly blessed, even with the new assessments that are coming. Although our price and value has gone up, our taxes, y'all, have just been just a little bit here and there. So we're not complaining at all about that. We are very blessed to have the taxes the way that they are. Not only that, us raising our children, have 2 daughters that are adults now that have come through Detroit Public Schools, as well as now having our own business right here in the city of Detroit. My business, Transitional Finance, was founded here in the city of Detroit. My husband works with our school system here in the city, and even a nonprofit organization for disabled children, HIPS Michigan, all founded right here in the city of Detroit. So we are true 313, no matter where we go. We're wearing our everybody wears Detroit versus everybody attire because we love our city and we're not going anywhere. We're truly here to stay. So we're in College Park neighborhood now to see the parks and things that have come up around. If you guys even go down 6 Mile or Grand River area, it's just totally different than it was even 10 years ago. And we're comfortable with it. Mary Sheffield has blessed us with we have a full garden, y'all. Full garden, like zucchini, squash, collard greens, everything. So we're so thankful for that grant that came out. But we are truly blessed to be here, and we're not going anywhere. We're 313.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it.
All right, and Council President, I got another plug for your neighborhood beautification grant program. But I hope, I know you guys get this stuff in the media, but the next time somebody's saying it's all downtown in Midtown, I hope you tell the story of the residents who have seen their property values go up 3, 4, 5 times. It's pretty remarkable. And with that, we'll take any questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking at this map of the
Right.
changes, and most of downtown and midtown is white, which I'm not
Right.
sure what that means.
It means there's so little residential here. Alvin, you can take it.
As the mayor started to explain, there's so little residential activity in those areas that we basically held it neutral. There's a couple of other areas in the northwest side you probably see as white as well. There are only a handful of sales there. So we didn't project those as their increases or decreases.
So you have very few single-family homes. So it's basically apartments and offices. So in white areas, there was something like less than 5 single-family home sales. That's why they're showing us white.
So does this include condos, condominiums? I'm sorry.
It does not, no, sir. Those are single family, 2-family, bungalow type homes.
If you were to include condominiums, which there's a lot downtown, I mean, how would that change the numbers?
It would increase it, but.
We can give you those numbers, right?
We can certainly give you those numbers, but because condos are a completely different market, it would have skewed these results in a way that really wasn't reflective of what was happening.
It would have gone higher?
It would have gone higher. Okay.
I say that biased because I have a downtown condo.
So if you check with Alvin on the way out, he could tell you exactly what's happened to the downtown condos, the midtown condos, but this is single-family homes, which is the great majority of longtime Detroiters are in. But it's a good question. Yeah, go ahead, Simon.
Values rising so much, what do you hope the cap on tax increases will achieve, and how long will there be that cap?
Well, the cap is in the Michigan Constitution. It happens every year. And it's something that the voters imposed and for a good reason. It's great news, as these folks will tell you, to see my property values went up 40% the last 2 years. But if you're retired, you're on your Social Security or your pension, and your property tax payments go up 40%, now you're in danger of losing your house. So the Michigan Constitution says that the taxes can only go up with inflation. And this is the ideal circumstance, when the property values went up 19%, but your taxes went up 3%, and that's permanent because of the Constitution, unless, Simon, you buy a house from one of them, and then it will jump all the way up to that higher amount.
So does that cap change?
No. No, so next year, whatever, if inflation is 2% in 2025, and property taxes go up 14%, property values go up 14%, your taxes go up 2%. Your taxes can only go with inflation. So if you're in a really healthy city, you have, and this is lines Detroit hadn't seen for many, many years, but a really healthy city looks like this, that the property home sales themselves are taking off, but the taxes are always at inflation. And that's true statewide. Every city in Michigan is capped at 3.1%. That was the inflation rate last year. So everybody in Michigan went up 3.1%. Some cities, property values may have gone up 5, somebody might have gone up 7, but in our case, we went up on 19. I haven't seen the rest of the state. We're the highest of the state last year. I don't know whether we'll be the highest in the state this year. We're the highest again this year?
Yes, sir.
All right, I think San Diego and Miami, we beat San Diego and Miami a year ago, but I'm sure we didn't this year, but we're doing okay.
Mayor, are you hoping this will entice more people to move to the city?
This is, for the vast majority of families, the biggest investment you're ever going to make is your house. And knowing that investment is secure. I mean, things collapsed when people had $150,000 mortgages and found out their house was worth $60,000. That's when people bailed on this city in massive numbers in 2008, 2009, 2010, et cetera. When it's going the opposite direction, now people want to come in. The neighborhoods are stable. We've sold 25,000 side lots. People now have bigger yards. There's a whole series of steps we've taken. And interestingly, the neighborhood beautification grants. I mean, there's been a whole series of these steps we've taken, and they're all together paying off. Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit to, obviously this is good news for residents. Can you speak a little bit what this means for city finances going forward?
Yeah, it's 3%. So 3% is better than it used to be. It used to go down every year on our property taxes. So I don't know, it's our base on property tax probably 120 million, so probably another 4 million, but 3% is what our employees are getting in average wage increases, so it's exactly where we should be. We've been very fortunate in this city that the income taxes have soared much faster than 3%, and that's really been what has allowed us to expand the city services. Yes?
Can you talk about the trend of the number of people who challenge their assessments? I mean, what is the latest information you have, and
Go ahead.
how does it compare to previous years, if there is a trend going up or down in terms of?
Actually, there is a trend. It hit its highest in the 2016, 2017 timeframe. It maxed out at about 6,300 people filed appeals. It's trended downward since then. Last year, a little over 1,700 people filed appeals at the assessor's review. Less than a third of that number went to the March Board review. Less than 200 people filed appeals at the Michigan Tax Tribunal. So it started high around 1,700. Less than 500 filed property challenges at the March Board review. Less than 200 went to the Michigan Tax Tribunal.
And the assessor's assessment is upheld in the great majority of cases. It's hard to even describe what Alvin has done. When I came in here in 2014, we were basically under receivership from the state tax tribunal because of the problems with the city of Detroit assessment process. And Alvin Horn and their team literally reassessed this entire city from scratch over a 3-year period with amazing tools. You want to see them, but they had beautiful close-ups of every single picture they can pull up instantly. The professionalism of the department has changed. You still got some people out there with the rhetoric, but the everyday citizen, there is a lot more confidence in the assessors department than there was 10 years ago, and I think Alvin and his team have done a great job. Yeah.
What do you think contributed to this year's growth?
Well, we know what has contributed. Homicide rate, way down. Beauty that we're building in our parks, which are now really becoming spectacular. We've had the jobs continue to move into this city, and I think there's a feeling. Things like the NFL draft, Detroit's reputation statewide and nationally is at a level it hasn't been in a long time. People want to be in the city, and we're continuing to see that trend.
Can I add something?
So, and Dana, you're in the city too, right? I don't remember at a time where our reporters covering us were living in the city. I mean, it really is making a difference in the way people look at us.
May I add one thing?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
The other thing you're seeing, and this is something we haven't seen in Detroit in I don't know how long, first-time homeowners are looking, they used to be called starter homes. They are people who are looking for their first home, and they're looking at Detroit and they're seeing a surplus. The houses are older, but they're structurally sound. You can buy one far less expensive than surrounding communities. You put money into it, and that's an investment. And that's really what's been driving things the last few years. First-time homeowners looking for starter homes, people who can't get to their first choice, they're looking at the surrounding neighborhoods, and that's what's driving the rest of the growth. I can't get a house in Indian Village. I can't get a house in Boston, Addison. So I'm gonna look at the addition. I'm gonna look at the surrounding neighborhoods. People are moving into the surrounding neighborhoods. That's what's generating the growth. Thank you, sir.
Anything else?